When 3I/ATALAS shifted course, scientists expected trajectory anomalies, not a planetary crisis. But the moment its pulsing green light aligned with Earth's magnetic field, the planet's defenses flickered. No solar flare, no cosmic burst, just a synchronized rhythmic signal that twisted the magnetic shield with eerie precision. Structured pulses, carrying prime numbers and golden ratios, rippled through the magnetosphere, scrambled satellites, and knocked out navigation systems across hemispheres. Then came the echoes, intricate geometric patterns embedded in Earth's magnetic feedback, eerily resembling ancient star maps. What was once a glowing curiosity had just demonstrated surgical influence over the most fundamental layer of Earth's protection. If you're still watching, subscribe now. You crave more than answers. You seek what lies beyond. Subscribe now and be part of the few who never stop searching. The implications are staggering. For the first time, Earth's magnetic field, the shield we rely on for survival, responded not to natural forces, but to an interstellar object with apparent intelligence. The silence that followed the disruption wasn't relief, it was a pause, calculated and chilling. ATALAS had not only proven it could manipulate planetary systems, but that it chose when to act and when to stop. This was no accident, no background cosmic phenomenon. It was an interaction, deliberate and precise. And in that moment, Earth stopped being alone in the universe, not because we found something out there, but because something out there found us. It started with a pulse, not a solar flare, not a geomagnetic storm, not anything that fit inside the tidy boxes of astrophysics or atmospheric science, just a low-frequency ripple, invisible, immeasurable, until it wasn't. It hit Earth's magnetic field like a tuning fork to the skull, a global tremor in the shield that's supposed to protect us from everything out there. A moment of absolute silence in the upper ionosphere, followed by synchronized fluctuations across every magnetometer on the planet. Then came the light. Emerald, cold, controlled. The object responsible, 3I/ATALAS, had been drifting through space with an indifference that scientists once mistook for randomness. An interstellar visitor, one of only 3 ever recorded, but ATALAS was never passive, it was waiting. And now, it has acted. This was not a solar event. No coronal mass ejection, no flux from the sun. This disruption came from ATALAS itself, a direct influence. Timed, pulsed, repeated. Each wave of magnetic disruption, matching perfectly with the object's optical flashes, flashes that carried within them structure, precision, intelligence. Embedded in those flashes were signals, complex ones, prime numbers, golden ratios, geometric spirals. Proof that this was not noise, not static, it was message. Not from Earth, not from anything human. The magnetic field, the barrier we've relied on to shield us from solar radiation, from the cosmic onslaught of deep space, had just been turned into a communication channel, a medium. Not a defense, an interface. And Earth. It responded. From the skies over Norway to the deserts of Chile, auroras ignited in regions that have never seen them before. Satellites faltered. Power grids blinked. GPS systems veered off by entire kilometers. Planes in mid-flight reported brief, unexplainable failures in navigation systems. And beneath the oceans, sonar arrays went blind. This wasn't chaos. It was control. Each electromagnetic surge was timed. Each signal embedded with architecture, geometric imprints that matched ancient patterns, the Fibonacci sequence, sacred geometries. Echoes of symbols found in monuments built millennia before modern science was born. It didn't stop at the sky. Seismic monitors registered tremors, not earthquakes, not plate shifts. Rhythmic, pulsing, as if something deep in Earth's crust was responding. Resonating. The frequency of ATALAS's pulses matched underground vibrations in fault zones that hadn't moved in decades. It was penetrating Earth's crust, its oceans, its atmosphere, a planetary sweep. Not an attack. Not yet, but not an accident either. Then came the neurological reports. Individuals across the globe, thousands, suffered simultaneous migraines, hallucinations, memory gaps. Not localized, not cultural, global. Some reported hearing tones, low harmonic frequencies, days after the pulses ended. Others described dreams with recurring symbols. Some claimed they couldn't distinguish language from sound. And then, the code. In the noise left behind in the EM bursts, researchers found something else: structured patterns inserted into the backbone of global communications systems, not just interference, alteration. Parts of digital systems began to reroute, re-encode, signal chains redefined in real time, languages corrupted and then corrected with entirely new syntaxes that no human wrote. What's more, those changes weren't random, they were aligned with the same geometry embedded in the pulses, aligned with stellar positions, aligned with ancient star maps carved into stones thousands of years ago, maps that match the object's position and trajectory. This isn't new. We've seen fragments of this before, symbols half buried in history, spirals in megalithic sites, ratios built into temples, not just cultural, not religious, recorded, repeated, now resurfacing, on a planetary scale, and ATA-less. It paused. After a week of electromagnetic assaults, biological anomalies, and technological interference, ATA-less went silent. No pulses, no light, no tremors. As if it was watching, as if it was waiting for our response. And yet Earth isn't the same. Our magnetic field hasn't returned to baseline. It's holding resonance, slightly off frequency, but consistent. The entire planet is vibrating with a new harmonic signature, one that didn't exist before ATA-less began transmitting. This isn't passive observation. This is participation. Earth has become a resonator. Our shield, once thought to be passive, is now active. It can be touched, manipulated, programmed. And that changes everything. The implications are devastating. If our planet's magnetic field can be rewritten, what else can be? How much of our systems, our biology, our consciousness is susceptible to frequencies we don't even fully understand? The presence of embedded messages in magnetic echoes, deliberate, intelligent, proves that ATA-less is capable of targeting Earth's most fundamental operating systems. And not just our hardware, our minds. Neurological interference isn't theoretical anymore. The biological effects were measured, documented, correlated to the pulses. The object isn't just broadcasting. It's experimenting, testing bandwidths, seeing what we can absorb, what we can reject, what we can endure. This is not exploration. It's assessment, because the signals that left geometric imprints also formed patterns across our globe. Patterns that map directly onto known sacred sites. From Giza to Stonehenge. From Nazca to Göbekli Tepe. Locations built by ancient civilizations who claimed contact with the stars, civilizations who vanished or fell mysteriously. And now those same coordinates are active again. Coincidence doesn't apply here. Every signal, every tremor, every distortion has shown intention. And with intention comes the cold logic of experimentation, or worse, preparation. Because the final pulse didn't just stop, it ended on a precise frequency. One that, when mapped against galactic coordinates, forms a line, a straight trajectory connecting ATA-less to us to another region of deep space. A possible network, a relay, or a pathway. We may not be alone, but we're definitely not the only ones being watched. Earth is no longer a passive body in the void. It's been pinged, interfaced, marked, and whatever intelligence is behind ATA-less, it didn't just arrive. It returned. The geometric echoes, the historical resonance, the planetary response. This is not a new event. It's part of a cycle, one that spans not just centuries but civilizations, cultures that left behind warnings in architecture, alignments in stone, star charts etched into walls that no longer stand, warnings that we dismissed as mythology. Now they're data. The green pulses of ATA-less have proven that the universe is not silent, that the vacuum of space is a lie, that intelligence has found a way to communicate, not through language, not through technology, but through the fabric of planetary systems themselves. This isn't contact in the Hollywood sense. There were no ships, no landing, no messages in English. This is deeper, more dangerous, more intimate. This is planetary integration. The silence that followed wasn't relief. It was recalibration. a pause after the test, a moment to observe. Because ATA-LES didn't leave. It's still there, still drifting, still aligned. And Earth is still ringing. The shield we thought was impenetrable. It's been pierced, not destroyed, but accessed. That access cannot be revoked. And now the question that matters most isn't what ATA-LES is. It's why. Is this a warning? A beacon? A rehearsal for something far larger? Or is it a demonstration? Because if an interstellar object can alter Earth's magnetic field, rewire digital communication, interfere with human neurology, and leave behind a synchronized planetary resonance, then we are no longer in control of our systems, our understanding, or our defenses. We are no longer isolated. We are part of something else now. A network. A conversation. A sequence that began long before we had language for it, and may continue long after we're gone. The silence is not safety. It's strategy. And in that silence, one truth remains. Earth has been touched, and we cannot go back. If this shook you like it shook us, share this with someone who needs to understand what's happening. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Like the video, if you want us to dig deeper into what ATA-LES might be planning next, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Because this isn't over. Not by a long shot. The stillness that followed ATA-LES's final pulse wasn't peace. It was the kind of silence that settles over a battlefield before the second wave, controlled, calculated, heavy with implication, because what's worse than a threat you can see? A threat that can vanish, and still leave you marked. And make no mistake, we are marked. Every sensor station from Antarctica to orbit picked it up, a persistent frequency. Low and stable, embedded within Earth's magnetic flux. It's not loud. It's not dangerous. Yet. But it's not natural. It wasn't there before. Now it's part of the baseline, which means ATA-LES didn't just interfere. It rewrote something fundamental. It altered the core signature of our planet's electromagnetic identity. That's not a glitch. That's a reprogramming event. And Earth isn't resisting it. It's resonating with it. We've always seen the magnetic field as a shield, a dome of protection against cosmic chaos. But now it's clear, it's also a receiver, and possibly a transmitter. That's what ATA-LES exploited, or activated, or awakened. No more passive orbiting, no more solar weather blame games. We were touched by something intelligent, not intelligent in a biological sense, not necessarily alive, but calculating. Capable of deploying a universal language, mathematics, geometry, frequency modulation, and embedding it directly into a planet's magnetic substrate. That's not communication, that's dominion. And when you control the magnetic field, you control everything that depends on it. Satellites, communications, birds, whales, neural oscillations, internal navigation systems in aircraft. Even the migratory instincts of insects, all of it tied to magnetic cues, all of it disrupted briefly, then restored under new parameters, because the systems didn't just fail during the pulses. They came back online different. Logs from major telecom hubs show transient rerouting that shouldn't be possible under current software protocols. Flight telemetry registered phantom vectors. Military radar networks recorded echoes that mirrored ATA-LES's pulses, reflections without a source. It's like we were scanned, mapped, indexed, and then tagged. Not with hardware, with harmonic signature, a fingerprint embedded in the frequency of our defenses, something that doesn't go away when the pulses stop, something that lingers, hidden in the white noise of global systems. And then there's the data no one wants to talk about. The changes in human behavior. Hospitals reported a 14% spike in neurological symptoms during the peak pulses, unexplained dizziness, memory loss. In some cases, temporary aphasia, loss of language function. It wasn't widespread, but it was statistically significant, especially in regions with high geomagnetic sensitivity. And when linguists began analyzing speech patterns during that window, something even more disturbing emerged. New syntax. Not invented. Inserted. Slight shifts in spoken language. Embedded rhythms. Patterns that mirror the prime number pulses from ATA-LES's transmissions. No one taught them. No one wrote them. But they showed up in real time inside human communication. That's not cultural drift. That's not coincidence. That's infiltration. Not through force, through frequency. Which raises the bigger question: how long has this been happening? Because we're treating this like a first contact scenario. One interstellar object. One event. One anomaly. But what if it's not first contact? What if it's recurrence? What if ATA-LES is part of a system that's already touched Earth before? The symbols embedded in the magnetic echoes, those geometric forms, they're not new. They match formations found in ancient structures across the globe. Civilizations that never interacted. Cultures separated by oceans and millennia. All carving the same spirals. The same ratios. The same impossible alignments with stars we only recently began to catalog. That doesn't happen by accident. And now, those same symbols are appearing again in the very fabric of Earth's magnetic field. Star charts. Coordinates. Maps. Encoded in frequency. Not for our benefit, but for theirs. As if ATA-LES didn't arrive to say hello, but to verify. To confirm that the imprint left centuries or millennia ago is still active, still responding. And it is. The planet remembers. We just forgot. Until now. And now that it's been triggered, the implications ripple across every branch of science, technology, and defense. If Earth's magnetic field is a readable, writable surface, then everything we've built on top of it is vulnerable. Not to brute force. Not to kinetic warfare. But to modulation. To tuning. And someone or something just tuned us. Which brings us to the most chilling detail of all. Control. ATA-LES didn't blast us. It didn't beam down lasers. It didn't announce its presence with fanfare. It pulsed, timed, paused, and stopped. At will. Without resistance. That means total control over the timing and intensity of its influence. Think about what that means. It can reach in, shake the planet's shield, disrupt every satellite in orbit, shift fault lines just enough to be noticed, distort language, alter biological processes, and then disappear. No trace. No signature. Just a resonance that lingers like a fingerprint on the surface of the Earth. A message without a voice. A demonstration without violence. But what kind of intelligence behaves like that? Not curious. Not exploratory. Deliberate. Structured. Observing reaction times. Measuring our ability to detect, analyze, respond. As if we're being studied under controlled conditions. As if ATA-LES is logging our reaction to electromagnetic pressure. As if this was just phase 1, and the silence that followed. That's the real signal. Because only a force confident in its control would stop mid-operation, intentionally. And wait. Watch. And what are we doing in the meantime? Fighting over interpretations. Governments are classifying data. Scientific communities are split. The media is drip-feeding fragments, terrified of setting off panic. But the truth isn't waiting for consensus. It's already moving. The next time the pulses return, and they will, we won't be starting from zero. We'll be starting from exposure. Because the field's been altered. The resonance is active. And if this was an initialization sequence, then the next stage will not be a test. It'll be execution. Of what we don't know. A communication protocol. A systems override. An ignition of latent mechanisms buried in Earth's crust for millennia. All options are on the table. Because we don't know what we're part of now. But we are part of it. And there's no opting out. No closing the channel. No returning to baseline. ATA-LES changed something foundational. Not just in our planet but in us. The lingering effects are being tracked. Monitored. Patterns in behavior. Shifts in neural activity. Anomalies in data that only show up under certain geomagnetic conditions. It's subtle. But it's happening. And once you've been activated, you don't deactivate. So where does that leave us? On a planet that has responded to a foreign signal. Holding a magnetic echo that connects us to something we can't see, can't touch, and can't predict. A signal that may have been here before humanity. A signal that might never leave. And all we can do is wait. For the next pulse, what happens when the thing we thought protected us becomes the thing that betrays us? That's what we're staring at now. The magnetic field isn't just Earth's shield anymore. It's been compromised, transformed, repurposed. Not by nature, not by solar activity, but by an external intelligence that reached across interstellar space, touched our atmosphere, and left fingerprints inside our planet's core systems. And here's the part no one's ready to say out loud: it didn't meet resistance. Our defenses didn't flare. Our satellites didn't push back. There were no alarms in the stratosphere. There was no engagement. It just entered, layer by layer, through frequencies, not fire, through structure, not speed. It reached inside Earth's operating system and rewrote it in real time. And now, every single system that relies on that magnetic structure, communications, navigation, atmosphere, biosignals, is operating under a new baseline. We've been patched, recalibrated, not broken, not destroyed, adjusted. And the one doing the adjusting is silent. That silence isn't comfort, it's leverage. Because when something has the power to alter your world and chooses to pause, you realize how little control you ever had. We're living under a quiet occupation, not with troops, not with ships, but with signal. The only question that matters now is why? Why Earth? Why now? Why us? Because this wasn't a broadcast into space. This wasn't an outgoing message. This was inbound, targeted, localized, executed with surgical precision. Whatever ATLAS is, it knows us. It understands our systems. It speaks in the language of our planet's deepest mechanisms. And it didn't arrive unannounced. It arrived timed. The primes in the pulse patterns weren't just math. They were intervals, clocks. This was a countdown, a sequence, a test. Not of technology but of behavior. How would Earth respond when touched? What would the species do when their shield was shaken? Would we notice? Would we panic? Would we fight? We didn't do any of those things. We watched, we waited, we measured. And now we wait again, fully aware that we are no longer observing the universe from the outside. We are inside the loop. The message wasn't for our ears. It wasn't meant to be read. It was felt. Through oceans, through clouds, through magnetic stone and electric wire and synaptic pathways in the human brain. That's how deep it reached. And that's how deep the consequences will go. So if you're hearing this, stay awake, stay aware, stay ready. This isn't about belief. It's about physics. It's about systems. It's about a planetary signal that changed, and the intelligence behind it that has yet to reveal its full intent. Like, share, subscribe. Because this frequency isn't fading, it's just waiting for the next trigger. And when it comes, we will all feel it.